Hey, welcome to Livin MN Outdoors, and thanks for tuning in to this week's fishing report. Before we get into the fishing report, just want to remind you guys, woke up this morning, it was really cold outside. We're not that far away from ice fishing, and all of the resorts are telling me that their sleeper houses, day houses, and cabins for the ice fishing season are starting to book up. So if you want to get one of those nailed down for the ice fishing season, start thinking about calling and making that reservation as soon as possible. But with that being said, let's dive right into the fishing report. Let's start out on Leech Lake. I talked to the guys from Leech Lake Guide Team LLC, and they told me that the perch bite is on fire. They said a good area to start looking is Walker Bay. They said 4 to 5 feet of water on sand edges and weed edges. They're throwing a 1/16 ounce jig head in either green, white, or gold, tipped with a fat head, a red tail, or a rainbow. They said if you use a 3-4 inch minnow, that's going to help weed out some of them smaller perch, and you'll be able to put a lot more of them jumbos in the boat without weeding through so many of those fish. Now, they said that the walleyes have been mixing in with some of them perch. The walleyes aren't pulled up quite as far, but they are catching a few here and there. Now, as far as the walleye bite goes, the walleye bite has still been steady. They said they're using anywhere from an 1/8 ounce to a 1/4 ounce jig. The jig and minnow bite is really starting to heat up. As the water temps continue to drop, that jig and minnow is going to be key, but they still are pulling some spinners. They're catching them that way too, whether they're pulling a minnow, a night crawler, or a leech. Now, for those, they're looking for steep breaks adjacent to weed lines, shallow rock piles. When they're getting on the walleyes, they're hungry right now. They're putting on the feed bag and they're filling the live well with some nice eater fish. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, they're still catching the really big crappies. They're catching big bluegills. Look for cabbage beds. They're on the edges of those. They're casting 16th ounce jig head with a crappie minnow or fathead for the crappies, or they're throwing a night crawler for the bluegills. Now, there also is a smallmouth bass bite going on. Austin from Leech Lake Guide Team, he put a guy on an absolute giant. We'll put a picture up right now of that. Good areas to look for them are rock piles, boulders, looking at 8 to 16 feet of water. If you don't want to use live bait, a Ned rig or a drop shot works good for that as well. But there's some really big smallies in there, and now is a good time to catch them. So if you guys are looking for a guided trip up on Leech Lake, we highly recommend Leech Lake Guide Team LLC. There's 6 guides there, very professional, top of the line gear. They're going to put you on the fish, and you're going to have a blast. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up there, we highly recommend Horseshoe Bay Lodge. Cam and Courtney, they run a great operation there. Hotel rooms, cabins, full bar and restaurant, beautiful marina, live bait, whatever you could ask for, they can provide it. So go ahead and book a reservation with them. Moving over to Lake Winnibigoshish, I talked to Chad from the Pines Resort and Scott from zupsguideservice. They said that the perch are finally schooling up out there on Winnie. They're finding them in 4 feet of water up in the weeds. They're throwing jigs in a minnow or pulling spinners through those weeds, and they're catching some really nice batches of perch up there. As far as the walleyes go, they said the walleye bite is still on fire up there. They're finding those walleyes in 4 to 12 feet of water. The main lake breaks, deep rocks, weed lines. They're pulling crankbaits. They're starting to throw a jig and a minnow. That bite is going to be the best here as those water temps drop into the mid to low 60s. And they're catching all different sizes, anywhere from 8-inch walleyes up to 28-inch walleyes. So a good mix there. That walleye fishery is going to continue on for a long time here. They've had record hatches, and it's going to only get better as the years go on. Now, as far as the crappie bite goes, he said they've started to get crappies. They're schooled up, but they're suspended out over deep water. So the best way to target those, you're going to need to drive around, watch your electronics, try and mark a school, and when you do, spot lock and drop down into the school of them. Now they're catching some giant crappies out there, so it's definitely worth targeting them. He didn't really say what they're using to target them, but you can never go wrong with a jig and a minnow or a jig and a plastic. Now he told me they didn't really have anybody bass fishing or bluegill fishing, but he suspects that they're still up in the weeds or on the reed edges. So you can go ahead and give that a shot if that's what you're up there chasing. He did say that the musky bite is still really good. He said Tamarack Point or Battle Point are two good areas to start. They're casting spinners, topwaters, big swim baits. But here pretty soon you might want to think about getting some giant sucker minnows and soaking a sucker minnow for one of those big Lake Winnie muskies. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay, Chad said they have cabins open the rest of the fall. So go ahead, give them a call, pick a weekend or a whole week, set that up. They got a full bar and restaurant, live bait right at the resort there, and you can dock your boat right there, leave it overnight. Now, if you're looking for a guided trip up on Lake Winnie, we highly recommend Scott Zupfer from Zups Guide Service. They've been absolutely smashing the walleyes and perch out there. So go ahead, give Scott a call and book that trip as soon as possible. Okay, moving over to Mille Lacs Lake, I talked to Jeff from Castles Resort on Isle Bay. He said that the walleye fishing is extremely hot right now. He said they've been targeting them in 16 to 22 feet of water. Those fish are starting to pull up on those rock reefs. And he said you can either troll lead core with crankbaits or you can start casting jigs and a minnow. Now the slip bobber with a night crawler or a leech has still been working, but he said they're starting to favor the jig and a minnow or crankbaits on the lead core. Now he said they've been catching really big walleyes, but they've been bringing in a lot of slot fish as well. Now you can only keep one, but if you want to go out there, catch a bunch, release them, and bring one home, he said there's a good chance you're going to catch your slot fish out there. Now he did say that the perch are right along with the walleyes. They're getting some nice batches of 9 to 12 inch perch. And when you get on a school of them, you're going to pull in quite a few. Now also he said the smallmouth bass fishing has been so lately. If you can find a big secluded boulder, there's smallmouth on it. They are a little timid right now after the 2 big tournaments up there. But if you work them slow and you work them long enough, you'll probably get them to bite on a Ned rig or a drop shot. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up there, Castles Resort, they have their cabins. Right now, they're running a deal. It's either 40 or 50% off select cabins. And they are offering a deer hunting special too. So look into that. Give them a call. Go on their website and book one of those cabins as soon as possible. Now also, Castles Resort, they rent out pontoons. So if you're just looking to get up there, you want to go for a cruise on the shoreline, the colors of the trees are going to start changing here soon. Not a bad idea. Take your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it might be. Take them for a cruise along the shoreline, do a little sightseeing, but then be ready to hit that nighttime bite as the sun starts to hit the tops of the trees. So if you're looking for a place to go up on Mille Lacs Lake, go ahead and call Castles Resort. All right, moving to Norseman Guide Service. I talked to Mark yesterday. He told me that the smallmouth fishing is so right now. He said they're seeing lots of fish, but like I said before, with those 2 big tournaments that just happened back-to-back weekends, he said a lot of those fish have been caught and they're very timid right now. Now he said he had his best luck on a drop shot with green pumpkin. They're still rigging them wacky style, and that seems to be working pretty good. Now he also threw a Ned rig and caught fish on that as well, but they're finding them anywhere from 8 foot to 22 foot. Now he said you gotta work them really slow, and you gotta park quite a ways off of them and cast to them. If it's a real big community spot, he said probably not even worth fishing right now because those fish have been hit so hard the last 2 weeks. But if you have some more secret spots, go there, work those boulders over, those rocks over, and you're probably going to pull in some nice smallmouth bass. But if you're looking to get a guided trip up on Mille Lacs Lake for some of them trophy smallmouth bass, go ahead, give Mark a call from the Norseman Guide Service. Well guys, that's going to do it for this week's report. Really appreciate you tuning in. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I saw yesterday that 72% of you watching aren't subscribed. It'd be a huge help if you guys would subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, select all. It'll notify you every time we post an update. And with the early ice reports coming out in the next couple months, you're going to want to get those notifications. But we appreciate you tuning in. Remember, be kind at the boat ramp. Wishing all the waterfowl hunters a safe and successful hunt this weekend. But most importantly, guys, don't forget to get on out there and get living.